Leonardo DiCaprio is often described as one of the greatest actors of his generation, but that description alone barely scratches the surface of his influence. His career is not simply a collection of successful films, nor is it defined only by awards or box office numbers. What makes Leonardo DiCaprio truly remarkable is the way he navigated fame without allowing it to hollow out his artistic identity. In an industry that frequently rewards repetition and punishes restraint, DiCaprio chose a slower, more deliberate path. Born on November 11, 1974, in Los Angeles, Leonardo Wilhelm DiCaprio entered the world far from the polished version of Hollywood most people imagine. His parents separated when he was still very young, and financial instability became a constant presence throughout his childhood. Raised primarily by his mother, who worked long hours to support him, DiCaprio grew up understanding responsibility early. His father, deeply involved in underground comic culture, introduced him to unconventional art and countercultural thinking, planting the seeds for a worldview that would later shape his career. From an early age, DiCaprio showed an unusual sensitivity to human behavior. He observed people closely, studying emotions, speech patterns, and reactions. Acting was not a way to escape reality for him, but rather a way to understand it. Even as a child, he approached performance with seriousness, curiosity, and emotional awareness that felt far beyond his age. Despite his passion, DiCaprio's entry into acting was filled with rejection. Casting directors struggled to place him. He was often told he was too intense, too serious, or simply not what they were looking for. At one point, he was even advised to change his name in order to appear more marketable. Instead of adapting himself to the industry, DiCaprio quietly decided that the industry would have to adapt to him. Television became his first real classroom. Small roles in commercials and later appearances on shows like Parenthood and Growing Pains helped him develop discipline and technical skill. These roles were modest, but they allowed him to learn how sets worked, how cameras captured emotion, and how to communicate feeling with subtlety. Even in limited screen time, his performances carried an emotional weight that stood out. His transition to film marked a turning point. In this boy's life, acting opposite Robert De Niro, DiCaprio encountered a new level of expectation. The experience taught him restraint, listening, and emotional precision. Rather than trying to dominate scenes, he learned to exist within them. Critics and industry professionals began to notice that this young actor possessed an uncommon seriousness and depth. That reputation was solidified with What's Eating Gilbert Grape. DiCaprio approached the role with an intense sense of responsibility, immersing himself in research and observation. His performance was not exaggerated or theatrical, it was deeply empathetic. He did not imitate disability, but rather portrayed humanity. The result was a performance so convincing that many viewers forgot they were watching an actor at all. At just 19 years old, DiCaprio received his first Academy Award nomination, instantly redefining his position in Hollywood. He was no longer a promising child actor. He was a serious performer. Yet instead of leveraging this recognition into safe or predictable roles, he continued to gravitate toward darker, more challenging material. Throughout the mid-1990s, DiCaprio made choices that revealed a clear pattern. Films like The Basketball Diaries explored addiction and emotional collapse, while Romeo and Juliet reimagined classical tragedy through modern chaos. These projects expanded his range and gradually built international recognition, but they also positioned him as an actor unwilling to be confined to a single image. Everything changed with Titanic. The film became a cultural phenomenon on a scale few movies have ever achieved. DiCaprio was suddenly everywhere, transformed into a global symbol of romance and youth. Fame reached an almost overwhelming level, and with it came a loss of anonymity that many actors never recover from. Rather than embracing this new image, DiCaprio reacted with caution. He recognized that instant idolization could easily trap him in a narrow identity. While the public celebrated, he retreated. He avoided repeating similar roles and resisted becoming a permanent heartthrob. This period marked one of the most important decisions of his career, choosing longevity over popularity. Instead of capitalizing on Titanic's success, DiCaprio sought out filmmakers who demanded more from him. This instinct led to the beginning of his long and defining collaboration with Martin Scorsese, a partnership that would fundamentally reshape his artistic trajectory. Gangs of New York introduced DiCaprio as a morally conflicted adult presence, far removed from his youthful image. The role demanded emotional complexity and restraint, and while the film itself was divisive, DiCaprio's commitment was undeniable. It was the first step in a long process of reinvention. The Aviator pushed him even further. Portraying Howard Hughes required navigating obsession, brilliance, and mental deterioration. DiCaprio immersed himself completely, capturing the gradual unraveling of a man consumed by his own mind. The performance earned widespread acclaim and positioned him as one of the most committed actors of his generation. This collaboration continued with The Departed, where DiCaprio portrayed anxiety, fear, and moral pressure with raw intensity. Unlike traditional crime films, this performance avoided heroism. Instead, it emphasized vulnerability, reinforcing DiCaprio's willingness to explore discomfort rather than fantasy. As his career progressed, DiCaprio's choices became increasingly introspective. Blood Diamond confronted global exploitation and moral responsibility, forcing audiences to confront uncomfortable realities. Revolutionary Road examined emotional suffocation beneath suburban normalcy, exposing the quiet despair hidden within seemingly perfect lives. With Inception, DiCaprio bridged intellectual ambition and mainstream success. The film proved that complexity could resonate with large audiences when grounded in emotional truth. His performance anchored abstract ideas in human loss, guilt, and longing, reinforcing his role as a bridge between art and scale. By the time The Wolf of Wall Street arrived, DiCaprio had achieved full creative autonomy. His portrayal of excess was not celebratory but critical, revealing the emptiness beneath indulgence. The controversy surrounding the film only highlighted his refusal to simplify morality for comfort. The long-awaited Oscar win for The Revenant was less about validation and more about endurance. The role demanded physical suffering and emotional isolation, mirroring the long arc of DiCaprio's career itself. When he finally won, it felt like acknowledgement rather than victory. In recent years, DiCaprio has shifted toward reflection. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood explored aging, relevance, and nostalgia within the industry that shaped him. Outside of cinema, his environmental activism has become increasingly central, reframing his public image beyond entertainment. Today, Leonardo DiCaprio stands as a rare figure in Hollywood, an actor who resisted simplification, embraced discomfort, and treated influence as responsibility. His career is not defined by moments, but by intention, and as long as cinema values depth over noise, his story remains unfinished.